WWE Wrestlemania 18 for the Gamecube. Yes, this is the beginning of the end for the exclusive WWE Gamecube games. It's been way overdue for these games. These games are hands down the most requested games ever. I wonder why that is. Were Wrestlemania 18 and 19 really contenders to go against the SmackDown games at the time? Honestly, I don't know. I've mentioned this before, but these games were never hyped much where I lived. So does Wrestlemania 18 really compete against the SmackDown games? No, not really. Everyone knows this. But does that make it a bad game? Well, since this is the first real wrestling game for the GameCube, I will take that into consideration and give the game some slack and not compare it to the SmackDown games, and simply let the game stand on its own merits. So that being said, let's see what the game is like. The menus are decent looking, and they do correspond well to the WrestleMania 18 theme. And a piece of trivia, this game was released during the year of 2002, which was the year of the whole WWF lawsuit. So while this game and the case of the game and even the disclaimer at the beginning has the WWE logos, the actual game itself still uses the WWF logo, which personally is always cool to see. There are a decent amount of matches to choose from. Handicap, triple threat, Fatal 4-Way, Battle Royal, Royal Rumble, Hardcore, Cage, Hell in a Cell, Ladder, Table, TLC, Iron Man. Pretty good choices really. Only some arenas to choose from, and by some, I mean only the main ones, such as Raw, SmackDown, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. You can unlock some more arenas, but they're only older versions of the ones you already see here, which is not a bad thing. The roster is quite good. Not the greatest by any means. There seems to be around 42 wrestlers to choose from, in total, and 6 to unlock. That is if the character selection screen is anything to go by. Anyway, gameplay time. Jeez, look at these two. I'm feeling kind of old honestly, since these two look so young here, and I remember this era in wrestling pretty vividly. The entrances look decent in this game, and the graphics for the most part seem pretty good. The character models look pretty hit and miss, and the walking animation looks awkwardly stiff. The arenas and the crowd and the Titantron etc., they all look pretty good overall. The graphics are fine. But what about the actual gameplay though? The gameplay is good. I actually liked it. The pace is nice and quick, and the controls are easy enough to learn, as the grappling system is quite simple, and has a simple meet-in mode. Next to the wrestlers' names, there is a color indicator, which changes color. Basically, when you're in danger, your color will turn blue, and if you're doing really well, your color will turn red. You build up your little bar, build up another bigger bar, and that's how you get your finisher. You can store 3 of these big bars. It's very simplistic, but it works just fine. A lot of animations look kinda stiff, and the grappling and punching is not always accurate. Instead of hitting or grappling your opponent, you will go right through them. I didn't know how to pick up a weapon, and the manual doesn't actually tell you how. But I figured it out eventually. One thing that is pretty cool is the fact that you can have weapons in the Hell in a Cell, something you couldn't do in the SmackDown games at the time. Yeah, I know, no comparisons to the SmackDown games, but rest assured I will not mention SmackDown again. I noticed that in the Royal Rumble match, once I got eliminated, I didn't know how to rejoin the matches as another superstar, even when my spot in the corner was replaced by someone else. The CPU took over, and no matter what button I pushed, I couldn't get back in. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I'm not. Either way, it's not really straightforward as to how you play in the Rumble again once you've been eliminated. You don't bother trying to pin someone on the outside in a hardcore match, or any match where you can pin outside the ring. The ref will always be in the ring, and if you pin outside, the ref will slowly make his way outside the ring and then count. Sometimes they kick out before he even starts to count. Let's look at some other modes this game has. You have Path of Champions, which is very straightforward. You choose a belt to go for, or defend, depending if you pick the champion or not, and you wrestle in matches until you win, or defend the desired belt. That's it. You can unlock a few things depending on what you do and whatnot. There is also a mode called Battle for the Belts. In this mode, there is a shitload of fictional belts that you can go for, and again, it's just beating your opponent until you win. You see how they are numbered? Well, that's because you can rename them and even change the color of the belt. Whoa. This game has a create a wrestler as well. It's pretty straightforward. It looks as if you can customize real wrestlers that are on the roster. But no, you can only change their moveset. Still, that's better than nothing, I suppose. You can create wrestlers that are hidden and create a wrestler, like Mankind, which is actually pretty cool. It's a nice kind of loophole, if you will, to get wrestlers that are not on the active roster at the time. There is a decent number of options to choose from when it comes to his or her appearance. There are also a decent number of options to choose from when it comes to customizing your attributes. The creative wrestler is not going to blow your socks off, but it works okay. Overall, this game is very average at best. A lot of people dismiss this game as utter crap, which is something I can't really argue with, to be honest, because I can see where they're coming from. But keep in mind, this is the first proper WWE wrestling game for the Gamecube. Then again, this game was developed by Ukes, people that already know what they're doing. You got decent graphics, even if the character models look kinda weird. And the gameplay, despite its obvious flaws, can still manage to be fun. And you have a decent amount of match types to choose from. But the in-game music sucks. It sounds like something you would hear in a Crash Bandicoot game. The lack of a real season mode takes away from this game, since the modes they do have are bare bones basic. There is fun to be had with this game, but it just makes me wish I was playing a better wrestling game, to be honest. That's been my review. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I can keep this going on a roll and WrestleMania 19 won't be too long. And then after WrestleMania 19, I will review Day of Reckoning 1 and 2.